we're going to practice how to basically translate word problems to turn them into equations. And one of the methods that we're going to choose to do that is using a flowchart. So this flowchart will help you to sort of stay organized so that you can go from start to finish in creating an equation and solving. So first step, obviously, is to read the entire problem. So if each bag of apples costs $3 and you buy n bags of apples, so n obviously being our variable, write an equation to determine how many bags of apples you purchased for $27. So I've read the question. Now I'm going to list my knowns and identify my unknowns. So I know each bag of apples costs $3. I know that I purchased them all for $27, and my unknown is how many bags of apples, which it says here and also here how many bags of apples. And as you do more and more questions, it won't give you this part, and you'll have to make that part up yourself. Our next step is to assign variables to our unknowns. So here, they've already assigned this variable for us. N represents how many bags of apples. Sometimes we'll have to do that step ourselves. In this case, we did not. Now we're going to write out the relationship in words. So we want to look at what's going on in this question and talk about it in words before we start throwing in 3 and n and 27 and all of that. So in words, I could say that if I take the number of bags of apples and I multiply that by the cost per bag, that I should get my total price. So that step is basically taking the entire relationship of the question and putting it into a sort of equation. And that step is super duper important. If you can do this step, all of the rest of it is super easy. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace all of my knowns and my variable for my unknown, and that's going to make an equation that I can solve. So how many bags of apples did I buy? N bags of apples. What's the cost per bag? $3. And you don't need to use a label in the equation. What's my total price? $27. If you want, remember n times 3 is 3n. So you can clean it up a little bit. Whoops. Equals 27. And now I can divide by 3 to get that n equals 9. Now, that's replacing the knowns and unknowns and solving the equation. So now I've done that. Now I have to check my solution and write my answer in words. So my answer is 9, but I won't just say 9. I'll say I would purchase 9 bags of apples for $27. So write that whole sentence. Here's one for you to try. So press pause, do the entire question, then press play to see how you did. This one's a little bit harder, so I did challenge you. First, read the entire problem. Joey works twice as many hours per month as Frank. If Frank works X hours and together Frank and Joey work 60 hours, find how many hours each person works. So I've read the problem. My knowns and my unknowns. So I know that Frank and Joey together work 60 hours. That's all I know, sadly. My unknowns are what Joey works and what Frank works. So Frank works X hours, so X represents Frank's hours. Joey works twice as many hours per month as Frank. So some people would want to say, well, let's just say Joey equals Y. But if I have 2 variables and 1 equation, I can't solve it. If I have 2 variables and 2 equations, I can, but I'm going to have 1. So instead of using a whole new variable, I'm going to take this X and say, can I write some sort of relationship for Joey? Well, Joey works twice as many hours as Frank, and if Frank works X, then doesn't Joey just work 2X? So that would be my known is together they work 60. My unknowns are Joey's hours, which I've now said is going to be equal to 2x, and Frank is going to be equal to x. So I've assigned my variables. Now I'm going to write the relationship in words. If I take Joey's hours plus Frank's hours, that should equal the total hours. And now I'm going to start replacing. What were Joey's hours? 2x. What were Frank's hours? X. What were the total hours? 60. And now I'm going to, since I've just done this one, I'm going to solve the equation. 2x plus x is actually, remember, 3x if I combine like terms. I divide by 3 to get that x equals 20. Now be very careful. This question asks for two things. How many hours does each person work? Well, Frank works x hours and x is 20. So Frank works 20 hours. And how many hours does Joey work? Well, Joey works 2x, so 2 times 20 would be 40. So Joey works 40 hours.